Who's got more flags? I think they're still beating them in flags.
And then they turn it to
You're Coleen.
Yep.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't know you. I keep looking for you. I'm Steve Cole.
Okay, hi, Coleen Rowley. Came up from
Thank you.
Apple Valley.
Ray. Coleen Rowley. I love it.
Yep, retired since 2004.
Fantastic.
And I was giving everybody legal advice about where they can stand and everything.
That's appreciated. I just moved my car.
Yeah.
Wow.
You cannot be on private property.
Oh, I know.
mean, they have an absolute right.
Hey, Vince.
So
I'm good. How are you? Perfect. I'll stop by sometime this afternoon or else at the latest on Monday. I'm out at a drone protest at camp right now. Thanks so much, Vince. Bye-bye. Hello.
Hi.
good morning. We have a press conference going on. Of course, I'm going to speak a little bit, but coincidentally, not only International Peace Day today,
Yes.
but also the 4,000th day mark was Wednesday of when the Afghanistan war started. And of course, October 7th will be 11 years. And it's not just the Afghanistan war because now they've used it. But today, they're holding a press conference in Washington, D.C. I don't know if you know this, Robin. Do you know your attorney, Bruce Fine, along with retired military, one military kind of high-level officer that I know, Lawrence Wilkerson. Lawrence Wilkerson was the under chief to Coleen College.
Okay.
And so he's retired. He's
Sure.
now a professor. Who else? Bruce Fine, Lawrence Wilkerson, and several retired military are having a press conference with Congressman Walter Jones, Republican Congressman Walter Jones.
Good deal.
They are introducing a resolution to impeach Obama if he starts another undeclared war.
All right.
And we're very precarious right now on Syria and Iran. And he already started the undeclared war in Libya. So there's been no congressional oversight over violating the Constitution this way, where, you know, of course, Madison and all of our founding fathers were very worried that the president, as commander-in-chief, would have this huge incentive, just as King George and the European powers, to start wars. And so they made checks and balances in the Constitution. Well, the main one is that it's got to be declared by Congress. But over the decades, it's gotten more and more watered down. And the worst was when Obama started the bombing of Libya, and he even passed the statute that he was supposed to come back and report. And so this resolution now is and it's led by, of all people, or at least one of the leaders of it, is the same attorney. He's also a very conservative attorney, but he's very conservative on constitutional rights, that had been involved in Robin's case with the signs.
Oh, okay.
Same guy. His name's Bruce Fine, F-E-I-N. And he's a conservative constitutionalist. And you can't have a country where the checks and balances are putting a country into endless war. Decades. They've planned this now to go on for decades and decades, and it's bankrupting the country. So, anyways, it's very key. Very complete coincidence. They didn't call us up and ask us, "Are you going to be protesting today?" But I just saw this press release came in at midnight last night.
I didn't know that.
I know.
Bruce
I thought,
was
it's really good because, you know, you've got to Congress. They have not had enough backbone to stop this stuff. They call it the imperial presidency, but under Bush, he took all these powers that he doesn't have, and they let him do it. And then Obama took it even further.
Yep, we have an impotent Congress.
Yep. But today is going to change things, we hope. We hope that this is a little bit of a start. And a lot of it is the people who are some of the best thinkers on the wars and military are the military. It's actually who has kept us out of Iran so far was Fallon and Mullen. And so you've got military people who get it. But there's a lot of propaganda out there, and the general public opinion has been very misled in many cases because now it's actually the Obama side that's doing it because they want to stay in power and they like this endless war stuff. And the military-industrial complex is funding the campaigns. So anyway, I just gave my whole speech.
I appreciate your
reporters over there.
your knowing about Bruce Fine.
Yeah, it's.
All right. You might have to give it one more time.
Well, I'm going to talk at 11:30 or so.
Yeah, it's coming up. And Larry is gonna sing. I gotta get a hold of him because he wants to sing, and then he's gotta head off to Venezuela. He's gonna be observing the Chavez election.
Oh my God, being here again.
No problem. No problem. She said Larry. Is that Larry Long? I have.
Hi. You want to sign? I don't want to sign, actually. I'm with the like that.
So that's the highest compliment.
Well, I'll give you. I haven't read your articles yet, but the highest
Our
compliment.
reporters over there. I'm
Okay. The I.F. Stone, of course, I just read, he said, well, don't you know, governments lie. You know, power does. It's not just governments, it's CEOs. When I worked in the FBI, my goodness, the crime.
This is Jesse.
Yeah, I was just saying all the remarkable coincidences and milestones
I'm going to
today.
videotape her while she talks.
One is, of course, it's International Peace Day, and that was actually deliberate planning that we were doing this on International Peace Day. It's Wednesday marked 4,000th day since the beginning of the Afghanistan war. Yes, I saw it. October 7th will be 11 years, but Wednesday was 4,000 days. The Afghanistan war, which everybody says, which war are you talking about? Because that was started 11 years ago. But it's now being interpreted as a global war. There are 6 countries that the United States is drone bombing and also covert operations and whatever. So they interpret this to be the battlefield commander. And now that 2 days ago, Obama has out the section that says the military can detain American citizens indefinitely. He had vowed to veto that. But then on New Year's Eve, he signed it, went against his promise completely. Then he claimed in a signing statement that that would never be used. Even though he signed it, it would never be used against American citizens. And there was a lawsuit, and they had won this lawsuit. A bunch of reporters and activists said, well, you know, we could be held in violation at some point. So the judge did a 117-page opinion and a permanent injunction on that portion not to detain American citizens indefinitely, without proof, without evidence, without court, nothing. And an appeals judge 2 days ago, one appeals judge overturned the injunction at the request of Obama, who claimed it was urgent that he have that power. So we think we're really kind of watching a lot of constitutional rights and issues really at kind of the 11th hour. The military, I was saying, I'm from a military family, so from the military are some of the people who best understand these issues, especially the civilian control over the military that's embedded in the psyche of the military. Today, there's another coincidence that we just heard about. Last night I got a press release at midnight. Congressman Walter Jones, Republican Congressman Walter Jones, is having a press conference, probably right now, with other congressmen who have signed a resolution to impeach Obama if Obama starts another undeclared war. And he's got former Colin Powell Chief of Staff, Lawrence Wilkerson. He's got Robin's constitutional attorney, Bruce Fine. He's got other retired military, and he's got some. I don't know how many congressmen are involved in this, but the issue is if he starts a war on Syria or Iran without congressional approval, as he did in Libya, complete violation, that they will then seek to impeach him. So I was saying we hope that there's just been this long slide towards now a war in 6 countries and no end in sight. And if Congress reasserted its congressional power under the Constitution to say, no, you don't get to be the decider like King George decided. That's supposed to be Congress as well. The budget, you know, the budgeting is certainly Congress's problem. So we'll see how this turns out. But so it's a remarkable coincidence today that this press conference is going on. It's actually Robin's constitutional attorney.
And how long have you been involved in kind of stuff like this? Where are you originally from? Are you from the area?
No, I
where do you
got
live
transferred in the FBI. I retired in 2004, but I got transferred to Minnesota in 1990. And I live in a suburb south of the Twin Cities. For 2 years I lived in Hensel. But I'm from Iowa originally. Wow. I'm from a little town in northeast Iowa. And went to school at Fort Worth College, Lutheran College. And so the legalities of this are what are appalling. And there are, you never know it kind of with what's going on in the kind of the propaganda, but there are a lot of good people. They're in government. Well, certainly they are more constrained speaking out, but I've actually been in touch with a lot of good whistleblowers in government that spoke out against torture. There was an FBI agent who wouldn't go along with torture. There was the CIA operative who spoke out. He's being prosecuted. And an NSA official who got prosecuted for whistleblowing and got off, but because nothing was classified that he talked about. But this was warrantless monitoring of Americans. It's a pretty incredible situation that we have. Our NSA officials are protecting American citizens' rights. Americans have been kind of misled about this. They are monitoring, they're collecting all kinds of data. The drone bombing is really going to spread to police work. And there is a legitimate use for drones in police work. If it's especially search and rescue, there's legitimate, could be appropriate. And there even could be, I think, an appropriate use by law enforcement with a warrant. Judge Scalia wrote this opinion back in the 90s called the Kelo case. And if you get a warrant to search into an area of expectation of privacy for, like, for instance, drug operations and stuff, then it could be there could be a narrow use. But once it gets started and there's no rules on it, they're catching license plates. I mean, all these kinds of things that they're doing with drones, and even arming. They could be starting by controlling riots and stuff and arming them with tasers and tear gas and stuff. So there's all kinds of concerns. And when people think these things are only being used on a foreign population, they're less caring about it. And if they realize that these things can be applied to them, then they start to care more. And that's what's actually starting to happen. It's kind of surprising up here, but many conservatives, if you even look at the Tea Party and stuff, many conservatives are very worried about these things, these extra encroachments on American laws and subverting laws. Sure.
How do I spell your last name?
Rowley.
No, you're fine. I'm just standing here.
One F.
So we all gotta find some place to be without being loaded.
Thanks for writing.
No problem.
We need more people to